the guy that turns up on your parties. Dropping the hit, got me Shararti. Coming to see like a tsunami.
Lost for words, bro.
After Neel.
Hello. Hello, boys.
I just
This is
don't
the
know what
first
to
time I've
say.
seen you lost for words. I was like, he knows this is recorded, right?
Yeah.
You know what, firstly, Neel, welcome. Thanks for coming back again, bro. You good?
No worries, guys. Pleasure as usual. Thanks for having me.
No.
We can kick off now.
Pleasure's ours, man. Afso, what are you saying?
What do we say?
You know what, like you said,
I'm,
yeah, normally, you know, I've got things to say. Obviously, don't get me wrong, I've still got things to say today as well. But I just didn't know how to introduce, because after what we just saw there, where do we start from? Okay, do we need to talk about the result? Obviously, yes, we need to talk about the result. But yeah, let me start with asking Neel. You're the guest, so I'll ask you to begin with. Where do you think this leaves us in terms of qualifying for the next round of the Champions League?
Mountains are there to be climbed, I guess. I mean, we've made it hard for ourselves, haven't we? So, you know, when haven't we made it hard for ourselves? So it's just, again, I'm not gonna sort of be optimistic, but you know, there's a little bit of hope. You know, now we rely on results elsewhere, so we're just gonna have to see where it goes, man. Unfortunately.
do we have to beat Bayern Munich as well?
So, yeah, so we have to beat Bayern Munich, but then we're relying on results elsewhere as well.
Oh.
So
Is
it's
anybody
out
keeping an eye on the Bayern Munich game? You know what?
yeah.
I'm
I've
watching
got
Real Madrid.
yeah, I've got the tablet in front of me, so I'm gonna move on to onto that game. Try and find it if I can. After, what do you think? We're gonna do it, or
If there's any club in the world that can do it, it's Manchester United.
well?
History tells us that. That's all I can say.
Very good point. To be fair, I don't know. It looks slim, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like I've said, you know, Fergie time. It's in our DNA. Hopefully, it works out for us. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
think
like
we're
you say,
past Fergie
boys.
time.
In regards to, I mean, the last time I suppose I think we can say we kind of went to the depths and thought we were out, and then pulled ourselves back in. Was it the that penalty Marcus Rashford scored against PSG? That one springs to
That was a
mind
great
anyway,
night.
as one of the most recent ones.
PSG.
Obviously, that wasn't in the obviously group stages. That was in the knockout stages. But you know what I'm trying to say. You know, we looked all buried, dead, and out. But you know, we managed to claw it back in. I mean, yeah, like you said, you know, in terms of excuse me, the results. I suppose it's still in our hand. You know, we have to look at what Copenhagen do today, and we'll assess it from there onwards. But in regards to the game, give me your thoughts. I mean, especially in the Premier League, I think that's 4 or 5 we've won on the bounce now, and you know we look all right. We look all right, but in the Champions League, I mean, today we took the lead and we squandered the lead. We took the lead against Copenhagen. We squandered that lead as well. You know, we scored 3 against Bayern Munich, and somehow we still managed to lose that. Sum up what the games in the Champions League have been like.
Neil, you go first.
Yeah. The games in the Champions League. I think again with this young, well, I'd say young squad in a way. It's the experience of knockout football. I think in other competitions that kind of, you know, it just seems like they don't rise to the occasion enough. Maybe it's lack of experience. What it is, I don't know. But again, in the league, we've been in decent form, to be fair. So I think what we can do is learn from an atmosphere that we, get in the Champions League and take it into our league form. I think that's the only positive we can really get out of this, really. Although it doesn't look good, but it's a learning curve, like everything has been for the past couple of years at United.
Afsar, what do you think?
Sorry, what was the question again?
He's obviously watching the Real Madrid game. Switch it off.
Mama.
Sum
Bayern, I've got Bayern on now.
Yeah, sum up our performances in the Champions League, especially. I mean, I think today's game kind of encapsulates our Champions League run this year, anyway.
All right, cool. I'm with you. So, as he said, we scored 3 goals at Bayern Munich. We took the lead at Copenhagen, squandered that lead, and didn't that game end up 4-4 or something like that?
Yeah.
I think I've given up in terms of the results.
Like,
Did it
and
was
then
it
we
4-4
look
in the
at-
end?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
Wait.
4-4. And then
Yeah, it
we've
was
got
4-4.
obviously the previous Galatasaray game. We scored goals there. We scored goals here. I don't know. Look, it's
Bro, it's a
very easy
mentality.
to sit here. Yeah, it's one of these things that we seem to score and we're fine. And like today we scored again, and we were like, "Oh yeah, this is going well." And then that free kick, just
Yeah, Afsar, I think you're having some
So-
connection issues. You're kind of freezing up, man. Let's see if you can kind of work that out, man. But yeah, I suppose for me, I think you just encapsulate. Mate, I think I'm gonna keep putting a pound in every time I say encapsulate. I think it does encapsulate literally our season this season as a club, as a fan base. We get somewhere. We think, right, we're on the right track now. We're looking kind of all right. We're looking good, and then something just from left field comes at us and just bang drags us down, and it's almost just inexplainable. I mean, let me try and take the positives. I mean, Garnacho, brilliant. He seems to be getting ahead of steam now. Whereas, earlier on in the season he was a bit bitty, but now he's kind of starting from the start and he's starting playing well. Luke Shaw has been a breath of fresh air again since he's been back. I think he's like I said, against Everton he was really good today. He played really well as well. You can clearly see what we missed when we didn't have him. I think I think Hoyland is still trying to find his feet. So I can't really comment much about him. Every time I see Hoyland, I just see Harry Kane, and just say to myself, this is why Eric Ten Hag wanted Harry Kane. He wanted him to hold the ball, bring other players in, and this is what he wanted to do. You could just see if he could hold the ball up, more often than he does at the moment in time. You could see we'll bring other players come up, but we just seem not to be doing that. Do you know what I mean? Again, I'm not going to blame Rasmus Højlund because he's a young lad, and that's what he's been put into this kind of situation. But I then look at the centre backs, Harry Maguire, who he wanted to get rid of, and Lindelof. Yeah, he played some games last year, but he was by no means, a starter or anything of that nature. And it's just a big gaping hole. I mean, we've got Varane on the bench, and I mean, let me get your thoughts, Neil. Why do you think he's on the bench? And why is he not playing?
Well, the rumors were it was an off the field issue. I'm pretty sure those were the rumors, but then we saw pictures of him shaking hands with Ten Hag. So, who knows what that is? But again, I think it could just be, how Ten Hag likes his players. Whoever trains better plays. So it could just be he's either had one or two off training sessions, and then he's picked himself back up, but maybe he just didn't make the cut. He's available, so why isn't he playing? It's a good question, but we can speculate all we want. We're not going to know the truth, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, to me, my theory on that one is just he's just not consistent enough. He plays well for 3, 4 games, and then he gets injured for about 4, 5, 6, 7 games. He misses as many as he plays, and I think that's an issue. And then when you've got Harry Maguire playing decent, I'm not going to say he's been playing well. He's playing decent. You can't then take him out just to play Rafa Varane. Because don't forget, a lot of the fans, all they've been talking about is not Ten Hag not playing his favourites. So I don't think he's been doing that. But pat on the back to me, I think, boys. I think you really should give me a pat on the back. 10 minutes and almost 11 minutes in, and we've not mentioned Onana.
Brilliant, man. I mean, good, good thing you didn't mention him. I mean, it's not just
uh,
him,
What are we
by the
supposed to
way.
say?
I mean,
I'm
last
not.
season, let's be honest. I think whilst David De Gea was here, we
Mm,
was all saying, you know what, we need a new keeper.
mm.
I know some people were saying it wasn't a priority, and I suppose it wasn't a priority. It wasn't a priority, but Onana just fit the bill. I mean, there was some saying Diego Costa, and some were saying, Onana, and whoever you talk to now, those people who are saying Diego Costa will say, "Ah, see, I told you." But I can kind of guarantee if Costa was here, he probably would have been doing similar things. But anyway, so we wanted a keeper, but can you almost make a case for him? Onana in the Premier League and Onana in the Champions League? Is there a difference?
I think there is. In the Premier League, he hasn't been so bad, but again, I would not just dig out Onana alone because we're in this position because of the entire team. One bad game in the Champions League, and I'm afraid it was a crucial game, so it's unlucky for him. So a lot of people are going to get onto him about it, unfortunately. But again, we also have to take into account for that second goal. The way it slipped out of his hand, the pitch was awful, to be fair. It was wet, so I'm not giving him an excuse, but it could have been the case. But the first one he should have shaved, no questions asked. Second one slipped out of his hand, went in. So I don't know. Again, uh, we put ourselves in this position as a team, and we can get ourselves out of it. But it's whether or not these players are hungry enough. To be fair.
Yeah, and I just think Onana has to take responsibility. I'm not going to say the blame
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. Of course.
he made some great saves today as well. And look,
Yeah.
he in the Premier League, which has kind of given us confidence to come into these games like today. He's been playing well, and he's been a big part of that. I just think he's big enough, in terms of both stature and physically, obviously, to kind of deal with it. I think he will come good. I just think, obviously, and I think that's why Eric Ten Hag keeps playing him because he does believe in him. And a keeper's that kind of a position where you got to believe in the keeper. You got to give him that belief to keep going. And like I says, if he was making howlers in the Premier League and the Champions League, then I kind of get
Mhm.
it.
It's
Do
kind
you know
of
what I
been
mean?
like, again, being a goalkeeper, in my opinion, is probably one of the hardest positions on the pitch, right? And without confidence, there's no point of being a keeper because you need to have that confidence in you. And to be fair, he has rose to the occasion before, with Inter Milan. He's been at a Champions League final, so he knows what it means. It's just, unlucky that is, I wouldn't say form in the Champions League, but, it's just unfortunate, really, man, to be
Yeah,
honest.
because one of the biggest takeaways I had from the Champions League last year was Pep, and where he kind of says, "Well, how do you play against a keeper like this? You can't press him because he'll do you over across, So he'll find spaces and things of that nature. So you back off, and then yes, it kind of means that that pressing machine isn't there. So I think Onana is part of the jigsaw, but just at the moment in time, there's other parts in that jigsaw that are missing, and these aren't happening, and things aren't happening. Um, but
He still hasn't had
and
a
just,
first choice defence in front of him though either.
Eric Ten Hag has
So
not had yeah, Licha Martinez, and at the start of the season it would have been Rafa Varane. I think so. You're right. I think, boys, you chime in here as well. I think it would be Onana, Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right back, Rafael Varane, Licha Martinez, and Luke Shaw.
Is there an argument for Maguire in the right centre back role?
As I said at the beginning of the season, it would have definitely been Varane.
Yeah.
Is there an argument for him at the current moment in time? Yes, he starts in front of Varane, but is it what Erik ten Hag wanted at the beginning of the season?
Exactly. And I mean, to be fair, if we're gonna sort of go by that, then he should have been at the club, because he wanted to sell him. So he ousted him out, and then all of a sudden, we have an injury crisis. We need him again. So he's just become one of those players, really, and he's rose to the occasion. Fair enough. Hats off to Maguire. To be fair, he's took it on the chin, and he's done well this season. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, just moving it on now, in terms of what can you say? I think one of the key words that Erik ten Hag made in the press conference, I think it was yesterday, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Like I mentioned, even right at the top of the show, Garnacho, talk about him. What's his performance has been like of late?
They have improved.
Wow.
I'm not going to lie. But what a goal he scored on the weekend.
Are you in the Gary Neville camp? The best bicycle kick ever that you've seen? Can you even compare bicycle kicks?
Nah, I'm not going to compare that, man. That's just what's a bicycle kick if we finish outside the top four? You know what I mean? I'm not really that type of person to sort of go for amazing goals. Don't get me wrong, they are great. Like great goals are amazing, but they don't always win you trophies. So that's just me as a person, though, and not to be negative or anything. It was a brilliant goal, taking nothing away from the kid, but to put it as the best bicycle ever, I think the occasion matters as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like Rooney's against Man City. You said the
Yeah.
occasion. But you know what? Look at Kylian Mbappe yesterday.
Oh gosh.
I didn't watch the game. I saw the highlight clip of that one, and I thought, wow, yeah, it's not for everyone, is it? A bicycle kick,
No,
even
it's
somebody
not.
like Kylian Mbappe. But the other player, you know, at Everton, obviously we saw more of him. But even today, when he came on, Kobe Mainoo,
Oh, what a player! Breath
what
of
a
fresh
player!
air. So composed,
What a
ice
star,
in his
man.
veins. Yeah.
I had this debate with so many of the guys, some of the lads on the group chats, and I even mentioned it in the spaces on Twitter as well. And somebody was asking me, what do you think? Why we're in the position we are, and we're playing as we are. And I said Kobe Mainoo. If you look at preseason, just preseason alone, you look at obviously the games where we play with Kobe Mainoo, which I think we won every single one. Obviously, I'm not going to count the Real Madrid game because I think he played like 2 minutes and he got injured. But then after that, literally from Real Madrid onwards, I don't think we won anything. I think we maybe won a couple of games. And then obviously the season started as it did, and you could see, when we had Kobe Manu in preseason, how joint up we looked, and we were stringing passes, and you could see that whole, you can see how Erik ten Hag wants to play. As soon as he left, you couldn't. Now, again, Everton, I think you could see patterns of play, what Erik ten Hag wants to do. And even today when he came on, okay, we conceded 2 goals, but I don't think Kobe Manu was at fault with of any of them. But could you see again,
I think he
what he
looked
brings to this
comfortable
team?
today.
I was want to say, can you see what he brings to this team?
Yeah.
Like, Everton was a hard game, right? Like, for that to be your Premier League debut, the fans are on you. The fans are obviously, they had the protests and everything going on, with regards to the 10-point deduction. So it wasn't a nice atmosphere to walk into, right? and he was so cool, so calm, selected, just went about his business. And that pass to Bruno, like, wow. He just like, he's on the half turn and he just pings it right out to him. And then
Yeah,
today, he was in hell. Like, they call, they say welcome to hell for a reason. And he didn't look phased. Which is,
yeah.
for a, what, 18, 19-year-old?
He came on and he wasn't fussed. You could see the players. The best compliment I can pay to him, even the Galatasaray players weren't pressing him, they weren't running against him. They tried a couple of times and he just dodged them. I think he done I remember towards the end as well, he done like a pirouette and things like that. And the Galatasaray player didn't even come back for him. He thought, hello, this man, this guy's probably just going to embarrass me. Like, do you know what I mean? At 18 years old, doing what he's doing. But you can see what he's going to bring to this team. That's what we wanted from Frankie de Jong. I'm not going to big up Kobe Manu too much because I think he's going to take time. Again, inevitably he's going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. But even like I says, I've got proof in the group chats. I've been raving about him. Saying, look, this guy, even before obviously the last couple of games, that he's going to be the one. Like, do you know what I mean? And he's the missing link, and you can just see. So I'm looking quite forward to that there. Neil,
Yeah.
just a quick question, man. I mean, we've been talking about centre backs and things of that nature, and we never got them through. If we've got our new investor that's going to come around the corner, Mr. 25% man, we could have got to Debo.
I mean, that's a big could, but
What do you mean?
I don't
Are
know.
you could like we could have got to Debo, or you saying
Yeah, we could have
is
got Teddy, but only because, the way we do negotiations and handles transfers, as you've seen in the summer, Mr. Last Minute. So who's going to be in charge of all that?
yeah,
Was
but we
you?
wouldn't have to worry, would it? Because Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns Nice. He could just turn around and say, "Yo, give him to Debo."
But wouldn't
Don't forget, he's going to look after the football operations, isn't he?
yeah. I mean, but didn't the Premier League bring in something about the whole multi-club thing and trying to? I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not confident that we would have got him definitely because we'd have done all the scouting. We would have, um, spoken to him, done negotiations, and then in the end, someone else would have got him. Again, it depends on which 5 CEOs he wanted to bring in because I heard about 4 or 5 names being mentioned there.
No, there's only the one.
Yeah, we
That
went
we've
through
got.
them
He's
all.
going to 100.
Who Blanc?
Yeah, Blanc's the ones that are going to come in, isn't he?
No, there was Blanc mentioned. There was who's the other one again? Help me out here, boys. There was 2 more. There was
Maldini.
Blanc. Oh, Blanc, Maldini, who, yeah. I
But
don't know how Maldini got put out the hat, but yeah.
And Paul Mitchell.
Paul Mitchell and Michael Edwards, but that got debunked 3 days ago, I think.
Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah.
in terms of CEO, Jean-Claude Blanc would be the CEO, but then I think what you're saying is director of football, sporting director,
Sorry,
whatever
director
it
of
would
football.
be, Edwards,
Yeah,
Mitchell, and
yeah,
Maldini, etc.
yeah, all that lot, yeah.
But obviously we've not had you on the show for a while because I remember the last time we had you on, it was the Spurs game that we'd lost. You'd
Yeah.
been out at the Spurs game, helping with the flyers and etc. Give me your thoughts. I join up with you regularly. I listen to you regularly on the spaces and things of that nature. What are your thoughts on this news coming out that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to take now again going by reports, it's 25% of Manchester United.
I think if we're just going by purely the reports and what's been reported in the media, then personally, I think it's smoke and mirrors anyway. Only because there's been multiple, dates we've heard. I mean, I know the flip side of the argument is, yeah, we also had multiple dates for the current bidder who's out, supposedly, according to
Mate, name
British
names.
media.
Don't worry. Say names, man.
Okay. So, it was reported that Sheikh Jassim had pulled out, right? So, he's no longer a part of the process, as far as we know. So, unfortunately, that only leaves Mr. 25% to Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos to get the deal over the line. And we've also heard.
But Jim's gone on holiday.
Not just
He's
that.
in Ibiza, mate.
Not just that. I also heard the last Premier League game he was at, believe it or not. I heard this from a Chelsea fan. He was at the Brentford Chelsea game.
Yeah, I heard that. I think he was in the spaces that I had heard that. To be fair, I mean, if I'm honest with you, I don't believe that because look, there's that many thousands of people there. Everybody's talking about this takeover. Somebody would
Yeah.
have seen him.
Whoa, exactly. And they would have taken a picture, right? So, I don't know if that's true or not, but
Can I just jump in on the
whatever.
Chelsea thing for 1 second?
Yeah, go on.
So obviously, Hobbs, last time we talked about FFP, and I said, is it unfair on Chelsea and Todd Bowley? Just want to shout out one guy. At the Garage Stew, his username is. He's actually commented on one of the previous episodes saying that it was actually Todd Bowley who basically unearthed these findings to the Premier League regarding sort of Abramovich and all the dodgy dealings that went on. So first of all, thank you for the comment, and also thank you for that, because all we're trying to do is educate people, right? And without that, I wouldn't have known that, and I would have just carried on. But just thought I'd bring that out there. And when you said Chelsea, light bulb, all of that.
No, appreciate that. Like I said, thanks for the feedback. It always helps. That's the whole point of this show as well. So thank you for that. But Neil, go on. Sorry,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, right. So, it's 25% and Jim Ratcliffe, going back to that now. Right. So, again, in my opinion, this is just my humble opinion, if reports are to be true and, he does successfully take over the club, according to reports, right? It needs to be clear for me as a Manchester United fan. It needs to be in black and white that it's with view for a full ownership, eventually. That needs to be in black and white because nothing else can be trusted, in my opinion. If reports are true, that's just my position on it. However, from what we have seen, and again, I'm a very, technical person when it comes to reading and looking at where the money's moving. I think that's something I'm like really invested in. So I kind of look at it from a perspective of not the media, right? We kind of have to look at it from what's been reported this past year. So, and also how the market reacts to PR. We've seen it. Every time there was news about Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the market has reacted negatively. Every time there was positive PR about Sheikh Jassim, the market's reached all-time highs. The market knows what it wants. The minority shareholders know what they want. So, again, my preference has always been Sheikh Jassim and Qatar, right? And, that will be my preference. But I do have respect for those that think otherwise, right? And think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has, successfully won. Which, listen, at the end of the day, right? If it was down to it, I'm not fussed who wins as long as it's a full takeover. And right now, there's only one side offering a full takeover. And all these reports about Jassim being out and things like that, the man reported, sorry, not himself. I mean, they first showed intent to buy the club in its entirety, to start off with the official statement that they did release. So if they had pulled out, wouldn't they also release one? That's something to also, take away from this. And, it's just quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a statement, I think originally, how long has it been now? Is it? I know. I think I said 3, 4 weeks. I think it's touching about 5 weeks now, isn't it? I think October the 16th or something like that was it when we had the report or the news from
You know
um
about the Romano tweet?
Fabrizio Romano. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the person to break
October
it as well.
14th, 16th.
The person
yeah.
to break it as well, Fabrizio Romano. I mean, he messed up the "Here We Go" for some reason. Does anyone know why?
Mate, I don't think there's no here we go. That's why. But look,
Would we get a
I,
here we go for a takeover?
Yes,
Because
his
that's like a
thing.
transfer thing, isn't it?
Well,
I think it's just a confirmation thing. I don't think,
Yeah.
irrespective of what it is, because
yeah,
wasn't the Conservatives using in the here we go as well?
yeah, exactly. He uses it for everything that's basically done.
They're
So you know
done, yeah.
what?
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
yeah, something. But look, what was I gonna say? I'll tell you where I'm at with it, and I've said it a few times. I think on the spaces as well. When Sir Jim Ratcliffe originally around about 2021 had been rumored to be looking to buy us, I think was it 2021 or early 2022? I can't remember anyway. Mate, I was up for it, man. I was like, yes, somebody's gonna come and take over the Glazers. Do you know what I mean? Yes, finally. And I remember the 1958 as well. They had the banners of Sir Jim Ratcliffe on the banners as they're doing the marches and things like that. And like I says, I was up for it, man. Thought yes, finally getting rid of the Glazers. And then roll on, obviously, last year, 2022 November, the statement comes out from the club that they're looking for a strategic review, which part of that is a sale as well. And that then gave me hope again. And then, February, two statements come out. You know, I think the first statement was from Sheikh Jassim, which categorically, clear as day, says on there, full control. Wants to take over 100% of the club, basically. I think, sorry, not full control, 100% of the club. He wants to take over. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, about an hour or so later, something came out from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. It seemed so rushed. If you listen to it as well, I think the two key takeaways for me was, first of all, put Manchester back into Manchester United. I still don't know what that means. And the second one was, and it was just a stake, a controlling stake in the club. So Neil, what does that say to you?
Uh, again, I will never agree with anyone that chooses to tangle with the Glazers or chooses to be in bed with them, and that's just me because I've always been full sale only, and again, it needs to be in black and white what his pledge actually is because all I've heard so far from him is the 25% and we're gonna have 200 odd million to spend on the stadium. What's that gonna fix? Sorry, I mean, if you want to improve
So
matchday
so the
experiences,
200
sorry,
million's not for transfers?
what is it for? Honestly, I don't
This is
know.
what I mean.
200 million.
It's it's a weird because, like you said, Neil, he's effectively getting into bed with the Glazers. He is what some fans would call a Glazer enabler.
Yep.
So why would you back that? Like, yes, I respect him. I respect people have their opinions. I respect the fact that he is Britain's wealthiest man and, he must have done something right to get there. But for me, and I've said this several times over, I just don't want the Glazers anywhere near this football club.
Yeah,
Well,
and Neil, again, like you've been on the spaces a lot of time, and I think you've heard obviously the other side, the people who are happy with this Sir Jim Ratcliffe takeover side of things. I'm not going to say 25% because realistically, let's be honest, none of us actually know. Um, you know, I hear some people say, where does it say it's going to be? Do you factually know that? Do you know what I mean? Other than the reports, okay, let's say we don't know. But like I said, going back from the statements, the factual statements that came from them both, one says controlling stake and one says, a full takeover of the whole club. So surely on that basis, if we don't know about Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Why are we even entertaining it? Why aren't there more protests? Why aren't there same things happening when we heard Elliott Management Group was going to potentially get a stake in the club as well? Um, there were some others as well, like Aerial Investments as well. You could see the mad campaigns online going on even on Twitter. You could see these big fan groups saying, get against them. Here's an email of we've written up for you. All you got to do is copy and paste the email. Why are we now not seeing that for Sir Jim Ratcliffe? Because, like I says, none of us actually know. So, if one thing we do know is Sheikh Jassim 100% takeover, but the Jim Ratcliffe we don't know. Why are people saying, yeah, let's see, it could lead to a 25. But isn't it too late then? If we are saying protests work, and we as fans, we've got a voice and we can do something about it. Why aren't we now just going, hell for leather, forget all these, oh, did you see our banners, full sale, mate? That means nothing, doesn't it? At the end of the day, we're not seeing it visually on, like says, like we were seeing the aerial investment against them campaigns, Elliott Management Group campaigns. We're not seeing outside Old Trafford saying no against Sir Jim Ratcliffe, because again, like I says, what we do know is that he's saying a controlling stake.
Hmm.
That doesn't necessarily mean it full glazes out. Sorry, go on, Neil.
And so, no, sorry, just to touch on that. I mean, again, um, I would still give people leeway in terms of we haven't seen what his actual pledge is. So, okay, we've heard the 25%, but officially, when he eventually does take over, I don't know when it is going to be. I mean, we hear reports flying about, but when he does take over, right? Let's just say according to the media, like when he does take over, it it needs to be confirmed that okay, this is the way eventually to a full takeover. If that's
Yeah,
not
but isn't it?
confirmed,
But isn't it too late then, Neil?
uh, listen, yeah, I
Because
would say,
because what we're saying is he's gonna come. He's gonna be almost allowed in, for want of a better word. I'm
yeah,
going by off if we're
yeah,
saying as fans, protests and things like that work,
yeah.
and we've got a voice and we can
Mm.
impact the sale or the direction that this club's going in terms of the sale or investment.
Well, people can also argue as well on the flip side that you know that the protests, the continued protests, eventually have worked because then they've announced, that they'll do a strategic review and they'll look for, further investment. Obviously, that statement didn't really get brought out for no reason as such, right? So that,
So 18 years of
yeah,
protesting,
yeah,
false. Okay, Glazers out. So now we've got a case where the Glazers are going to stay,
hmm
get some investment as a lifeline, and people saying the protests have worked.
well, that's going to be their argument because they've put in lots of effort into it. But at the end of the day, right? Um, you know, the powers that be currently, the Glazers, right? Because people seem to forget that, that people think all of us like people think all of a sudden, yeah, there's a sales process, that we're still currently not owned by them. We are. People seem to forget this. But as long as they're still there, look, um, they've been very hands off with our club for so long, right? So all like in terms of protesting and anything like that, I don't think have they ever come face to face with these protesters at all, or any of these protests?
I think the only time I can really think of it, you probably got them in the, I think, Old Trafford. I can't remember the last time they came, which wasn't very often. But
Yeah.
the League Cup, I think that one was a quite loud one where Aaron Glazers was there, Glazers out. But and I think in the FA Cup, I don't think it was as much.
Hmm.
Because I think didn't some of the flags and so forth get confiscated?
Right. I mean, yeah.
But I remember the League Cup. I could hear the Glazers out chant. I could clearly hear that. At the FA Cup, I don't remember so much. So, and I believe some people weren't even allowed in. So I think there's that there. Um, yeah. I mean, what kind? I mean, like I says, it's you hear people talking about the quality of the things that have been reported, say from like the Bloomberg. Some people have even mentioned Reuters. I can't remember Reuters saying much. I think they've only ever put out one kind of tweet or something of that nature, citing other sources. But yeah, then you got the guys like from Sky News, the business side of things. People are saying this is done. Do you know what I mean? As well, on this podcast we said Qatar are done. Now we've got those same people who are coming at us are now saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is done. Like I said, I think we're 5-6 weeks later on and nothing's been confirmed. He's on holidays. Once should I say you've booked your holidays, you can't cancel them because you're not going to get your money back. Do you know what I mean? So Sir Jim Ratcliffe's got to be looking after those pennies, inflation and all. You keep saying your humble opinion, Neil. Like, do you know what I mean? I know you're in the spaces a lot as well. What do you think this has done to the fan base that we interact with, that you interact with?
It's definitely not been Manchester United. It's been Manchester divided, and I'll just keep it at that. Why are we causing division within the fan base? I don't know. Because I already said, even in the spaces, and I keep no filter when I say this, is my preference is Qatar. I will die on that sword and say, I believe it's Qatar. However, if I am wrong, I'll hold my hands up to it. It still doesn't denounce me being a United fan, So all this animosity and sort of hate towards each other, and I respect Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid, but at the same time, as a Manchester United fan, I also don't respect the fact that it's only 25%, and that's just my opinion, right? And it's not a full sell because that's not what I'm for. I've always been full sell only, and I've always been Glazers out, and that's my position. But what I am willing to do is hear out, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. If he turns around tomorrow and he comes out and says, "Look, I am, looking to buy the full control, essentially, either the 69% or a complete buyout." If he turns around and says that tomorrow, then I'd support his bid. But at the same time, if you look at, how things have been going in terms of spaces, the people that come into spaces, and, I'm not going to say no names, but
no names. No names are given. Just like I said, just a general,
Okay, so just a general sort of gist of things, right?
Yeah.
The moment it was announced from Fabrizio Romano that Sheikh Jassim had pulled out, right? And this is what I noticed. There was meltdown on Twitter, complete meltdown. Everyone was like, Therese, I hope you have your house deeds. You're going to be living in a tent. Like all these comments that just got flung out, and there was so much hate for even supporting Qatar for some reason. I don't know why.
Look, sorry. Please continue in a second, Neil. And I think that's okay, because at the end of the day, Riz, Banks, they put it out there. House deeds, Afsals, I don't know whether you're still there, sorry mate. I think it's either 10, 20 grand, put on the line.
Exactly.
It was 10 grand.
10 grand, yeah.
10
I don't think
grand.
there's any, as men, I think they take that. Do you know what I mean? They take that. Do you know what I mean? You got to take that. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to say, and that's going to happen.
100%.
Yeah, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
But here's the thing. No, there isn't nothing wrong with that. And look, they have put he's put house deeds on the line. There's 10 grand on the line as well. So respectively, even if you believe the news, there's a free house to collect for someone, and there's 10 grand there as well. So why are people still complaining?
So basically, if you were that confident, or you wanted to call his bullshit out, somebody should have took him on that bet.
Yeah, literally just say, Riz, I'm here to collect the deeds. Once it's all said and done. Once we have the green lights, right? Once we got a club announcement, I'm ready to take your house, Riz. Let's go.
No, what somebody should have said.
What I find really funny is,
let
me chime in. So what I find really funny is people wanted to effectively cash out on that bet now. Like, this isn't Fred, this isn't, any of these companies where you can go on the app and click cash out early and get
No,
a
no,
little
no, no.
bit.
But Absal, to even check out, yeah, you had to have placed the bet in the first place.
Yeah, you would have had to agree to it in the first place, yeah.
You'd have had to open the app,
Yeah,
put your money on there as well, and say, I'm taking that bet or whatever have you. And from what I know, nobody did.
I should have taken it myself, man. Go. It's free 10 grand.
Well,
But
look,
yeah.
it was there. So if anybody, like you said, you should have took if you believed it was going to be Sir Jim Ratcliffe and not Qatar for easy money, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I hear so many people now turn around and say, oh yeah, if you still think it's Qatar now, why don't you put everything that you've got on on the stock market and buy the shares and things of that
Pops,
nature?
it's amazing how this takeover has turned some people into financial analysts. It's turned people into, so much things, which I'm grateful for, to be honest. If this whole takeover process means you, uh, upping your IQ level, listen, brilliant. Yeah. It's taught you how to do in-depth research, right? Which is great. But at the same time, and I've always said this in spaces, right? It's okay to support a narrative. It's okay to have a preference, but it's not okay to force a narrative. No one that I've come across, um, or that I've spoken to regularly, has ever forced a narrative upon anyone. And that's when it starts to become a problem. And in the spaces, when people go at each other's necks and start calling out people that aren't even in the spaces, right, to follow a certain narrative, and just because this person said that this person is, lying, or this person is bad, okay, fair enough. If you believe they're lying or they're bad, I'm pretty sure if you have a word with the person, they'll put their hands up to it if they're wrong. You know, you know, whatever you're believing, and this is the same mainstream media, right? Yeah, Western media, I'm saying, right, that these people are soaking in so much, right? But at the same time, when it comes to things like, there's a dressing room leak, this person had an argument with this person, right? You're trying to debunk them when those things are happening. But then at the same time, when these same outlets are reporting certain things, you want to lap it up as well. When they're reporting that, Sheikh Jassim's out, when they're reporting that, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to take over next Monday. How many Mondays have I heard now? Like you can't, you can't say one thing and support a narrative and then change it all of a sudden so it fits yours. That's the thing that that I'm really getting at in the spaces here. And
Yeah,
yeah,
because I think originally, like I said, with the Brown Monday, and I'm sure people are sick and tired of me saying this there.
yeah,
But the way this kind of originally the Brown Monday came about was literally from the back of the media, the way they reported things in the Middle East. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
This narrative that they gave, and I think the worst one was Sheikh Jassim is he even real? Is he AI? And all these other
yeah.
people, you're
It's
thinking to yourself,
crazy.
mate, this is the son of the former Qatar Prime Minister.
Just know like the levels of, and again, I encourage anyone that's listening, right, to research how much investment Qatar has put into the UK compared to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And just literally research just that alone, right? That should tell you who has better government ties with the UK government, first of all, right? And it should also tell you a certain Brexiteer who ran away with his copycat Range Rover Defenders, right? That he tried to make, which are currently failing, by the way. Sorry.
Which were going to be
Yeah.
produced in the UK, but then changed his
Wales,
mind.
yes,
Yeah,
you literally promised Wales something, but you kicked the can all the way to France.
yeah.
You literally promised to bring back British industry, all of this. You promoted all of this, but then in the end, you ran off to a tax haven. You know. Not
you
to
know.
say
So
that, yeah,
he's going to put Manchester into Manchester, but the man
yeah,
left the country and don't even put his taxes that he
yeah,
earns into the UK. I mean, look,
yeah,
that we can say we're getting petty and things of that nature. Yeah,
yeah. No, no,
that's fine.
we
You
are.
know, but like I says, going back to the way things are, especially in amongst fans, it's almost as though there's people. I mean, like I says, this channel especially has had some hates from people. They almost want to see you. So that what people are saying is that we want Qatar, yeah, but hope you like are in the mud. Hope you like deactivate
Oh,
your podcast, the things that you do. And I'm thinking, why? Why would we do that?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I said,
And again, you support the same team. You should be supported, And again, even if in the chance that you guys are wrong, I'm sure each and every one of you will come out and hold your hands up and just say, "Yeah, we're wrong."
but
What,
the
what,
thing
what
is,
you know?
what's there to be wrong about? Do you know what I mean? In respects to
Exactly.
how can I put it? The amount there's so many people talking about, oh, such and such knows somebody, or they're saying such and but those same people are saying that they know people as well in other fields and they hear things.
Okay, now let me just kind of touch on that exact point because um, this comes down to, right? There's primary sources and secondary sources. There's a big difference.
Hmm.
Secondary sources, mainstream media, instantly, right? Primary sources, Rain Group, club announcement, um, filing to the stock exchange, right? Green lights from all three. They work in harmony. New owners announced, right? That's just how I see it. However, others, again, will see it as, you know, um, I know this person, but this doesn't make sense, right? Because this person said it's always that sort of narrative. But again, they're not seeing the flip side to that argument, right? And they're not thinking with an open mind. And this is the problem here, right? When you don't like think with an open mind, um, you automatically refrain yourself from more information. It's just human nature, right? Not to get into psychology or anything, but um, again, there are a lot of people who just switch on the telly and believe what they, you know, see on BBC News, for example, or something like that. There are a lot of people like that that don't do the extra research. So, again, if you're getting information from someone saying that they work in a certain field and, they potentially know someone that's involved in, the current dealings with the club and stuff, I would encourage everyone to at least take it with a pinch of salt if you don't believe it. At least take it with a pinch of salt. Because at the end of the day, it's something that's against the narrative that the mainstream media put out. And for me, again, if you don't believe it fully, take it with a pinch of salt. And the reason why I say that is in the event, you know, the mainstream media pull the rug from you eventually, which they will, they always do. And, in the event that that does happen, you can at least have the sort of satisfaction or the no to sort of be like, okay, look, listen, although I got sold a dream, at the same time, I still, kept an open mind and I still done a bit of my own research into this. So, I was kind of expecting it to happen. So
Yeah, I
again,
think you know what on that one. And big up. I'm going to big up Doyley here. I think we'll all know who he is, especially the
yeah,
people on
yeah, do it,
Spaces.
yeah.
And you know what? I like the guy because he's exactly what you summed up that somebody should be. He says that, look, he listens to information from everywhere and he deciphers his own things. And the reason why I'm pointing out Doyley as well, because I remember about a week and a half. I don't think it was even that far after. We was in a space, and Doyley was saying that he'd been told something by some people about Richard Arnold. I didn't know whether you was on that space, Neil. You might be if I tell you.
Um,
He'd heard that that he hadn't been talk that the Glazers and him hadn't been talking for a while. There's so much disconnect within the football club. Nobody's really talking to anybody. Things ongoing as it should be, and this has been going on for a while since I think early summer, I think as well, June, July. Sorry, again, I'm paraphrasing here. Um, you know, but he knew, and then I think about, like I said, a week and a half or 2 weeks later, you hear that Richard Arnold's resigned, and then you start hearing these stories that yeah, there was disconnect between the Glazers and Richard Arnold. So what I'm trying to say is that somebody like that who doesn't, I suppose, beat the drum saying, "Oh, look what I know," and keep going on spaces all the time, say, have the need to wanting to speak all the time. He's heard things from people that he knows. Now, it could well be that it's wrong, but
Mhm.
but for somebody like him, he's taken the time out. He's probably put his neck on the line in somewhat, if you, especially the way things are nowadays, to say, "Look, I've heard this. Now, go away. I suppose what people should be doing, and then decipher it yourself." Now, does that seem plausible with the things that are happening? You know, can you join the dots together with these kind of things happening? You know, I don't, like I always say, I don't think, again, some of the things that have been accused to us as well in the past is that you're making people believe. People are believing you. That's wrong. And I've, like we was talking about earlier, Neil. I don't think even you on Spaces or anybody on Spaces will say,
No.
"Look, this is the truth. You best believe me."
No, no, no,
Do
no,
you know
no,
what I
no,
mean?
no, 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 no. No one's forced the narrative down anyone's throat, right? By any means, and that's including you guys. You guys haven't put a gun to someone and said,
No,
"Yeah,
no,
you
no.
have to
I'm just,
believe me."
I'm not
You
just
know?
talking, yeah, us as well. But I mean, just generally though, I don't. I mean, there are people on the Spaces that you hear say, "No, that's wrong. No, not at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Not at
yeah.
all. That can't be right. No, that's not how you. No, you're wrong. You're wrong."
They're in denial. This is what it is, right? And when people are in denial, I feel like, and we as men, right? We all have an ego, right? Let's not sort of um, deny that we all have an ego, and we'll do anything to protect it. Let's be honest. Um, and I think some people's egos do get to their heads a bit, and sometimes they just need a reminder that it's still not done.
Yeah.
Fabrizio Romano comes out saying Sheikh Jassim's out, everyone's melting down, and now all of a sudden they're waiting for this Jim Ratcliffe announcement, which the mainstream media have promised them that it's coming.
And the likes of Bloomberg, who said it was going to
Yeah,
come.
yeah. Oh, here's the thing about Bloomberg. Sorry, and this is what I want to touch on. Does anyone actually? And this frustrates me on Twitter, right? I don't know if it gets to you guys as well, but when people see a tweet of a Bloomberg article, have you seen the way people write the tweet? They just tweet the headline and that's it, and they'll add the article at the bottom. You actually go onto um,
Article.
the actual article itself, the one without the paywall. You read the article, right? What, how Bloomberg structure their articles, right? They'll write what's reported in the mainstream media at the top, and then they'll add their 2 pence at the bottom of what they really think. Have you noticed that?
I'll be honest with you, we do read it, and I think we do chuckle.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's like I said. Look, some people are fair in their judgment in saying, people were saying, oh, unless it's in the Bloomberg or Reuters, unless it's said there, it's not true. And then when things have happened, and like you
yeah,
said, yeah, yeah. But I think we're now at that stage, Neil, whereby even the Bloomberg, can we now take that serious? Are we now also putting
yeah.
that publication in that? Well, they also don't know what's happening.
Listen, I would, again, with Bloomberg and with Reuters, at the end of the day, the way they collect their information would be obviously certain journalists as well. And again, it points back to journalism. Journalism, as far as I know, it's not governed in the West at all. And
I think like Manchester United, it's a cash machine, isn't it? Any
it is,
publication,
it is, it is.
it's the hits and the connections and the clicks, etc. As I say, that you get, which will generate them their money. Look, just finishing on that kind of thing. I mean, your hopes, Neil. Before we probably get you back on again, I'm I'm gonna hope that this takeover or an investment, whatever happens, is gonna happen. But what are your thoughts on, say, Qatar takeover? Say Sir Jim Ratcliffe gets an investment, but
Uh, right.
what are
And
you
this is
what are you hoping for?
What am I hoping for? I'm hoping for and honestly my stance will never change. I'm hoping for Sheikh Jassim and Qatar to definitely take over the club 100%. And you know, at this current minute, that 25% to me, unless it becomes more clearer that it's an eventual full takeover. I mean, people are promising me that it already is, and they don't even know. But then they're saying NDAs. Well, when does this NDA get, put in place? Because we know about the 25%. We know about the, 200 odd million that they have for the stadium. So when does that get put in place? But anyways, again, I will still stand on that sword and say I believe it's Qatar because I've done my own research, right? And I encourage anyone that's watching.
And that's not us influencing you, yeah?
No,
Just to make it clear, because you don't need
not.
anybody to be influenced, like we said, just to make it clear.
Yeah.
And people who
That's
listen to
not.
Neil know enough that nobody's going to put
Yeah,
thoughts in his head.
yeah. And this is just me as a critical thinker, anyway. And not to sort of take what Riz or Banks or you say as gospel, right? Because I still won't take it as gospel because I'm a human. Until
Yeah.
I see it, official confirmation from the club, the filing to New York, and the announcement from the Rain Group. Those three are primary sources, in my opinion. So until we hear from them, at the moment, no one's got the club. But my preference is Qatar, right? And if we see the recent partnerships that we've made, I mean, Extreme Wi-Fi, right? Connect the dots. That's what I'm going to say. Estee Lauder, connect the dots.
Boy, although it's nothing to do with us.
Yeah, connect the dots again.
Manchester.
Yeah,
Something, just sorry, a shameless plug, something that we've also mentioned.
yeah,
This takeover is more than just
yeah.
the club.
Yep, exactly. And if you just look at it from a geopolitical perspective as well, right? Qatar's been on a PR cleanup, and you can see how they've done it compared to Saudi Arabia and other countries. That's just from a geopolitical level. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on the current situations which are going on around the world. Obviously, people know my views on them.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if I can mention it or not, but
we can mention it. Like I said, we
right. So first of all, I'd like to say big up to all the hardworking doctors that are currently on the ground in Gaza, and I would like to like my thoughts stay with the victims of Gaza and free Palestine. First of all, if I can say that.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, if you look at the current situation there, I know Qatar are heavily involved in the
Peace
ceasefire
negotiations.
talks
Yeah.
and the peace negotiations as well. So again, if they do manage to get that over the line, and from what I'm hearing, it's getting closer and closer. So if they do manage to get that over the line, that will yet again be another thing, in Qatar's benefit in a way. When it comes to dealing with the UK government as well, like I said, they've had many successful businesses in London. I encourage people to look at all the investments that Qatar have in the UK, and literally just do your own research. You don't have to believe anyone that says something, right? Just do your own research and just stop going at each other, man. Like, what is all this beef about? At the end of the day, we want one goal: is that we want the Glazers gone, right? Until we hear from primary sources, like I mentioned before, so far the Glazers still own us, right? However, just remember that if, and this is just my opinion now, right? If Sir Jim Ratcliffe really wanted to buy Manchester United, and I'll end it on this, right? If he really wanted to buy Manchester United, he honestly wouldn't have, because it's 1.6 billion, I'm pretty sure. Was that out of his own personal wealth? Can someone confirm that for me?
Again, depending on who you listen to, it's loans
Yeah.
again.
Okay, so again, So the Goldman Sachs thing, right? That was one of the loans. I'm pretty sure it was from Goldman Sachs, right? If I'm correct. Now,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
it just seems awfully funny to me, right? And I had to chuckle when I first heard this. Is okay, yeah. So they give Jim Ratcliffe that loan to whatever that's used for, the first payment or whatever it is. Take that 1.6 billion. My thing is, again, it doesn't suit the current, the King's new regulation on Premier League clubs because that's technically another leverage buyout. I'm pretty sure, isn't it? Um,
I think on that, it'd be on him personally. So if he purchases it into the club, as long as obviously the
okay,
loan's on him,
okay, yeah,
or his
okay,
company Ineos, whatever it is, as long as it's just not leveraged on Manchester United, then I think he should be fine, for one of a better word. Because if he defaults, and then but still, I think he still comes round by if he defaults,
yeah,
who then takes over the club? It would be the Goldman Sachs. Let's just try and keep it really,
yeah,
really simple. It's not going to be the
yeah,
case, but whoever they own the debt, 'cause it's a bit like when
yeah,
you
yeah,
have a mortgage. It's against
of
you,
course,
but it's the bank who's going to take the house
yeah,
if
yeah,
they
yeah, of
don't,
course.
if you don't do your payments.
Of
Your,
course,
your
but
payments.
again, remember, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is supposed to be a multi-billionaire, right? He's got a huge personal wealth, right? Well, what was it 64 billion, 63 billion? Which was
No,
reported.
I don't think it's that much. I think it's around 20-25 billion. I think
Well,
it's.
I was hearing high 60s in spaces, isn't it? So
I
I'm
think that
just,
was. I think that's
yeah.
Ineos.
Oh, is that Ineos themselves?
That's
Okay, yeah.
Ineos. I think
Sorry,
themselves. Yeah.
sorry. Correction. That's Ineos themselves. So again, that's another company coming in. And for me, I don't like the idea of corporations being involved in ownerships anyway, because again, what happens post Sir Jim Ratcliffe? If Sir Jim Ratcliffe passes away, it's another Malcolm Glazer situation potentially. And if you're full sell only and Glazer's out, you've seen what that can do. You don't know what's in the minds of these executives at Ineos. You don't know uh, what's in the minds of Jim Ratcliffe's sons. Who could potentially come in and take over. And if they're Chelsea fans, then will they really care? I don't know. But again, it's not all said and done. So I'll just say to people, just please, please, please do your own research on the companies that are actually working with the UK. Right now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's a pro-Brexiteer, as we all know, right? He's, well, right now, I think he has a few. No, sorry, not him himself. Ineos it was. I think they have a few lawsuits, don't they? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I
So I've been
think
hearing.
things, yeah, some things. I mean, look, those could be minor. We just don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, yeah,
Exactly.
we can go down, but I think, like I said, just wrapping up your thoughts there, without putting words in your mouth. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think, like you're saying, is all we want. Even this channel itself, and like I says, it's always been about Man United and Man United fans. That's what it is. About Manchester United, is that we're just seeing, obviously, all we care about is Glazers being out, and that's full
Yep.
sale. Yeah, and like I says, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, we don't know what we don't know, and that's the problem. We don't know. What we do know with, obviously, Sheikh Jassim's bid is that it was 100%. Now, like I say, my thing is always, again, I've got nothing personal against Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Go back, look at my tweets back in 2021, I think it was, when I was pro Sir Jim Ratcliffe, on the understanding that it was going to be a full takeover. Soon as that doesn't happen, I'm going to be saying I'm against that. Yeah. So I think that, like I said, if it was the other way around, Sheikh Jassim wanted 25% and Jim Ratcliffe wanted 100%, I'll be pro that, because, like I says, as long as the glaze is out, I know it's gonna benefit us, or at least it's one step of the way on a rebuild. Because, like I said, them being out, I'm still hearing people still going to say they're going to, protest whilst the Glazers here, even if there's a 25% takeover with a full eventual takeover.
I
I
hope that continues. Sorry to interrupt. I hope the protests continue. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe takes over with the 25% and the Glazers are still there, I hope they continue because honestly, if they believe that they will trust Sir Jim Ratcliffe to negotiate with the Glazers that they want an eventual takeover once they're already in, all I'm going to say is to that, you've seen what they've done for the past 18 years. Do you trust it? That's all.
Yeah, like I say, I don't want that because
Yeah.
if people aren't making enough noise now, with them not being in, this is the opportunity where we have actually got one buyer. From all reports, okay, may have exited the conversations, but there's no official statement there. So, we're still going to say that he's still within there. We've got one person who's willing to buy the whole club. And if we put enough pressure to say, no, Jim Ratcliffe, who's the other person who's going to look to invest, if he then turns around and says, look, I don't want this backlash, I can't be dealing with it, it leaves the Glazers to turn nowhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And
This is
sorry, just to add on to protesting, right? Sorry, and this thought just popped up in my head. So sorry, Hops, I had to just
no, it's
interject
gone.
there. Right. So protesting, right? Listen, every single Manchester United fan, right, has the right to protest in their own way, whether that may be with a group, without a group, or supporting things that other groups do, right? Every Manchester United fan has a right to protest in their own way, and protesting in my own way, personally, would still count as protesting. And my own way of protesting is obviously supporting others, number one, right? But number two, if I don't want to go to United games, I'm not going to go. That's my choice, right? If I don't want to pay for a membership monthly, that's my choice. If I want to watch, you know, Man United games through other broadcasters, that's my choice again, and that's what I do. I make sure not a single of my pennies that I earn go towards those parasites, right? And I don't think people need to stop jumping on the throats of people that protest in their own way. You don't have to, be a part of something to protest. You don't have to, you know, do things a certain way to protest, right? You can support everyone that's protesting, and this is just me personally. I'll support the 1958 and what they do, and I still do. Um, I'll support anyone that's against the Glazers, right? But what I won't support is people that bring down other people that protest in their own way. If that person believes that their version of protesting is sitting at home and not going to games, respect it. Respect it and just say, look, I respect what you're doing and I support the same thing. But however, I'm going to games and I'm getting my voice heard as well. So look, that's fine. Both are ways of protesting with Manchester United. Why are we causing division?
Yeah, you know what, Neil? I think ending it there, I think you're absolutely right. I think, the way people want to
Yeah.
support a protest and the way they want the Glazers out, I think the main message is the Glazers are out, and I think that continues. But the reason why I smile is because I hear people who are quite loud, they want Glazers out, they go to the games, Glazers out. But with those same people, when they speak to other people who want Qatar, and then they turn around, oh, would you still support the club if Sir Jim Ratcliffe takes over? Puddu,
No shit.
you're supporting Man United and you're wanting Glazers out and you're chanting Glazers out, and then you're asking somebody who wants Qatar in, saying, will you support the club when Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in?
Yes.
Make it
Look,
make sense, like, do you know what I mean?
and here's the thing to those people, yes, we still will support the club. We're not going to all of a sudden change our club because Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in, we'd all support him. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it will he will need to sort of put fans at the heart of this, and literally just say to them, look, it's a full takeover, right? But at the moment, it's not. And unless he admits that, and it's in black and white, there's going to be a lot of people that continue the protests.
Like I said,
hope they do.
yeah, leaving it here now. I think, like I said, these are the same people flip flopping, for sale, but won't protest against what we don't know. But anyway, leaving it on there, Neil. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on. So thank you for that. There. I mean,
Thanks
just
for having me.
before we, no problem. Just before we leave, look, everyone, you can see Brown Monday, the merchandise is on there on our website. Please go and check it out. As we've said before, we want to get fans across the globe, at least come into a match day experience one day in their life. Proceeds of any merchandise that you buy from our website will go towards that. So please have a look, check it out, and do support. And just some shout outs. Sean, I know you've been listening to Brown Monday on Spotify. I think you are top 16% fan of the Brown Monday on Spotify. So I really appreciate it. I think that all the Brown Monday do appreciate your support, and that goes to everybody. So thank you for your support. Like I says, our two aims are, should I say, get the Glazers out, full sale, and secondly, let's get fans to experience a match day experience, because there's nothing like being a Manchester United fan. Cheers all.
Haraami, the guy that turns up on your body, dropping the hit got me shararti, coming to see like you